So since you guys asked for it, there we go. Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, all these three coins will be talking in today's video, and I'm going to choose my personal favorite among these three coins for the immediate short term and for the long term holding as well. So if that is what you wanted to hear, then please guys, please hit the like button, and for those individuals watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button and the bell. Now without wasting any time, let's jump into the content. So we are going to start this with Ethereum USD in a daily time frame, because in a daily time frame we have been very clear. As long as the price of Ethereum is going to hold the support from this rising trend line from January 2021, any sort of a price pullback should be absolutely normal. You can see here, this line has always been a strong line of support. Once we fail to find support above this rising trend line, we also saw a bigger pullback. But as soon as we broke out of it, the same line started acting as a support. So that's why right now, if we do see any sort of a shakeout, this rising trend line is going to be one strong line of support for Ethereum here in a daily time frame. And right now, what we can also do is add this Fibonacci retracement line from this swing high till this swing low area, because if you look at the price movement of Ethereum, guys, you can see we have now clearly broken out of this 0.5 and also the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement line, invalidating the dead cat bounce scenario, because in a dead cat bounce the price will never close above this 0.5 or 0.618. But in our case, you can see we broke out of this 0.5, also 0.618, came around this 0.786, but unfortunately we were not able to find support, and all of a sudden we saw this pullback. Price came at this rising trend line, found support, and now we are slowly seeing this upward price movement for Ethereum. So what does this mean? So if the price of Ethereum could find a proper support around this 0.618 Fibonacci retracement line that is lying around $3,361, around this price range, right, then we could be ready for another movement towards the next Fibonacci line that is lying around 3,800 price area. So this 0.786 is going to be our upcoming price target for Ethereum. But if we do see any sort of a shakeout again in price action, then the 0.618 around 3,360 along with this rising trend line is going to be one strong line of support. And along with this, I also want to show you this one scenario that we talked in my previous video. This was a very similar fractal what we witnessed here in price action. And now if this is going to play out, you can see the double bottom, price breaking out of this trend line, came back to retest it. We had this rally, again a massive pullback, price came again at this same trend line, found support, and started this new journey here to the upside. This similar scenario also is unfolding right now with Ethereum price action. If you look at this double bottom type of scenario, we broke out of it, came back just like here, came to retest the temporary resistance line, found support, started this new move here as well, you can see, and then a price drop of 25%. Here we had price drop of almost like 24%, here 25%, and now we might be doing a similar price movement. So if this fractal is going to play out just like from the past Ethereum price action, then the price of Ethereum could be ready for another movement here to the upward direction. So as you can see guys, looking into different scenarios, the price of Ethereum does looks very interesting. Why? Let me also show you very quickly why breaking this support from the rising trend line could be very bearish, is because if you look at the price structure and add this head and shoulder scenario, you can see very clearly. So if we do see a bigger retracement around this rising trend line and price is also going to fail to find support around this rising trend line, then this could actually play out as a head and shoulder scenario, right? You can see here, this is a very nice head and shoulder. So to invalidate this head and shoulder, we have to come across this 0.786, because breaking this 0.786 is also going to trigger another bullish scenario for Ethereum. So let's see how these scenarios are going to play out here for Ethereum in the immediate short term and also in the upcoming days. And now let's jump into Solana price action. So as you can see guys, for Solana we are going to start this in a weekly time frame along with the logarithmic scale, because if you look at the price movement here, this scenario looks very familiar. I mean, if you look at this falling trend line, price finding resistance around this falling trend line, and once it was able to break out of it, you can see a massive rally started here to the upper direction. Again, we started consolidating and price finding resistance around this falling trend line just like here. Once we broke out of it, just like here from the past Solana price action, we also started this new move here to the upside. So now what to expect next? Because if this is going to be a red candle here in a weekly, and we are also going to form another similar movement just like here, right? Then we want the price of Solana to clearly break out of this falling trend line. And if we do see price breaking out of this falling trend line, then we could be again starting this new move here to the upside. And why this could be a sign that we could see some sort of a sideways or even a small pullback in price action of Solana, because if I would add this very simple rising trend line here, right, you can see this rising trend line can be seen as a resistance. Every time we came at this rising trend line, we found a strong resistance, right? You can see resistance and a pullback. You can see here resistance, and now that's why we could be also seeing more of a consolidation or sideways movement before we break out of this falling trend line and start a new move here to the upside. Why is this so important? Is because if you look at this here in a daily time frame, let me switch the chart. So in a daily time frame, I want you guys to look at this in a very, very simple way. With each and every price movement here, look how we are switching the trend direction, guys. The price went crazier each and every time, right? You can see. So this here now, the support from this rising trend line has already been broken, as you can see, which we were following here from August 26, right? Now we have broken this line. So if this is going to continue this rally here to the downside, then we could be approaching the next rising trend line. This rising trend line could be a strong line of support around 130 to 140 price area. So if this is going to be this pullback, then maybe we could also see some more consolidation or like sideways movement before we see another movement here to the upper direction, because this rally here, right, this pattern is repeating again and again. So this could be also on the line for Solana. But if you would look at this here in a smaller time frame, let me also show you this one very, very interesting scenario unfolding. So now if we look at this Solana price action in a 4-hour time frame, guys, I want to show you first the most important line of support we have to hold at this current stage if you want to invalidate this all bearish scenario that could be happening here right now. This horizontal line is one of the strongest line of resistance and also the strongest line of support. So that's why if the price of Solana wants to show any sort of a sign of a possible movement here in upper direction, then I want the price of Solana to clearly break out of this falling trend line. This falling trend line has acting as a strong line of resistance. You can see that with each and every price movement, this rising trend line, the falling trend line has been a strong line of resistance. So if we do manage to break this resistance here and flip it into support, then we want the price of Solana to clearly break this one scenario here. This line, which is lying around $180, this resistance must be flipped into support, because if that is going to happen, then we are ready for another movement here to the upper direction. Because right now, what we have to also take into consideration, the reason why I'm actually showing you this falling trend line is because you can see here, if we simply add this descending channel, you can see very clearly that this descending channel upper line was a strong line of resistance, and to the downside the lower line was a strong line of support. So we are forming this lower highs, lower lows continuation pattern. So if we do break out of this, then we have to break this chain of lower highs, lower lows. That's why we want the price here to clearly find proper support above this 180, because if that is going to happen, then we could be starting a new chain here in this manner. I mean higher highs, higher lows continuation pattern here to the upside. So this is what I see right now looking at the Solana here in the bigger time frame and also in the smaller time frame. Now let's switch into Cardano, guys. So for all Cardano holders, you can see we are going to start this again in a weekly time frame, because in a bigger time frame we can clearly see the way the price is moving right now, forming this ascending channel, higher highs, higher lows continuation pattern type of scenario. So if we do want to continue this rally without the downward price movement, then for Cardano, what is most important is to stay above this one important support line, which is lying around $2.30 to $2.35. So this here is definitely going to be one strong line of support for Cardano if we do see any sort of a price pullback, because we at any cost must stay above this horizontal line and also stay above the central line here in a weekly time frame. If you look at the central line, you can see here this central line was a strong line of resistance. So that's why if we do see any sort of a pullback, we want to remain above this horizontal trend line and also above this central line of this ascending channel. But if you look at this in a smaller time frame, very interesting scenario is unfolding right now for Cardano. Let me show you here. So if you look at this in a daily time frame, we can simply first add this horizontal support line, right? Because we want to see the price movement. You can see this is a strong line of resistance and also a strong line of support for Cardano. If we do see any sort of a price pullback, we have also said in the past Cardano price action this here was a rising wedge scenario, right? Which played out perfectly. I mean, price came at the lower line area, reached the target here. You can see, right? We came to the lower line area just like here, and now we could be consolidating. So what we want, that's why at any cost, is to remain above this support line first. And second, guys, second, if you look at this in a 4-hour time frame, you can see a very interesting scenario is unfolding. So this here is in a 4-hour time frame for Cardano. If we monitor the price movement around this range, guys, we can see first, I'm going to add this support line, which we are aware of, right? And second, what we can do here is add this falling trend line, which is acting as a resistance. As you can see very clearly, guys, this line, this falling trend line, is a strong line of resistance. You can see, and this is exactly why we are also finding some difficulty to break it to the upside. And if I would add another movement here like this could be forming a very nice pennant, right? A bullish pennant. So if this bullish pennant is going to continue this rally here, then we have to flip this resistance into support before moving here to the upper duration. Because just like with Solana, what I just showed you, we also have to break this chain of lower highs, lower lows continuation pattern. So for me, the most important line we have to overtake is this price range of $2.70 to $2.80. So if the price of Cardano manages to flip this resistance to support and also break another important resistance, then we could continue this rally here to the upside. Otherwise we could be seeing some more pullback and even a movement here to the downside before again choosing the trend direction. Because in most of the cases, you can see the pennant usually breaks here to the upside because it's a bullish pennant. So in our case, that's why if you do want to see this happening, then the price must flip this resistance into support and also the resistance line, the most important line, around $2.70 to $2.80. So let's see how the scenarios are going to play for Ethereum, Cardano, and Solana. So now if we compare Ethereum, Solana, and Cardano price action for the short term, my favorite pick is definitely going to be Ethereum, guys, because if you compare the price action of Ethereum with Solana already made a new all-time high, right? If you look at the Cardano also made a new all-time high. But if you look at this Ethereum price action, we might just be preparing for the next move here to the upside. So for me, for the immediate short term, Ethereum is definitely going to be my favorite pick. And for the long term, these three coins are all for the long term holding and also one of my favorite coins. So these are some of the scenarios I wanted to share with you in today's video. If you enjoyed my work, then please hit the like button. For those individuals watching this for the first time, hit that subscribe button and the bell. Now, by saying this, I'm signing out. My name is Anup. Bye bye, guys.